Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the 1974 Washington Quarter Dollar. On the surface, this coin may look just like any other pocket change, but the truth is that some of these quarters have shocked the coin collecting world with values reaching into the hundreds of thousands and even a reported figure of over $1.17 million. So let's take a deep look at why this quarter has such an incredible story, what makes it so rare, and how its market value skyrocketed. The Washington Quarter series began back in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design by sculptor John Flanagan became a lasting icon, and for decades the coin was struck in silver until the composition changed to copper nickel clad in 1965. By 1974, the Washington Quarter had been circulating widely in its clad form for nearly a decade. Most 1974 quarters are extremely common, with hundreds of millions minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. For the average person, a circulated 1974 quarter is simply worth 25 cents. So why do collectors talk about certain 1974 quarters being worth life-changing money? The answer lies in a fascinating twist of minting history. In the early 70s, the United States Mint was experimenting with different coin compositions and striking processes. During 1974, a number of experimental planchets were tested, and in extremely rare cases a Washington quarter was struck on the wrong metal. Some of these errors include quarters struck on planchets intended for silver Eisenhower dollars or transitional planchets that never should have been used. These wrong planchet errors are almost impossibly rare, and when authenticated by grading companies they command staggering premiums at auction point. One of the most famous examples is the 1974 Washington Quarter that was struck on a silver-clad planchet that was not intended for circulation. This coin was preserved in remarkable condition and authenticated as a genuine mint error. When it crossed the auction block, collectors battled to own a piece of American minting history, and the price soared past $1 million, eventually reaching that eye-popping $1.17 million mark. But it is not only these million-dollar rarities that bring in strong money. Even standard 1974 quarters in pristine condition can carry a premium. A high-grade mint state example with full strike details and nowhere can sell for hundreds of dollars. Proof versions struck in San Francisco also bring collector interest, especially cameo and deep cameo specimens with flawless surfaces. Error coins like off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on foreign planchets can also sell for thousands. So what does this mean for the average person checking their pocket change? The odds of finding a $1,001,974 quarter are astronomically slim, but the thrill of the hunt is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Every coin has a story, and in the case of the 1974 Washington Quarter, the story includes both a common circulating coin and one of the most valuable minting mistakes in modern American history. Today, the coin market remains strong, and collectors continue to pay record amounts for rarity, quality, and historical significance. If you ever come across a 1974 quarter that looks unusual, weighs differently, or appears struck on a different metal, it is worth having it checked by a professional grading service. You never know, you just might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth a fortune. We are diving into one of the most surprising treasures in the world of U.S. coins. We are talking about the 1983 Washington Quarter Dollar. At first glance it looks like just another everyday coin you might pull out of your pocket change. But in reality, certain rare examples of this coin have turned into one of the most valuable modern quarters in history. In fact, one recently reached an astonishing value of $1,160,000. That is right, a single quarter worth more than a house, more than most luxury cars, and definitely more than a lifetime of pocket change. Let's start with the history. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. It became a permanent coin in 1934 and has gone through several design and minting changes over the decades. By 1983 the coin was made of copper nickel clad, no silver at all. Millions were minted for circulation, and under normal circumstances, they are only worth 25 cents. So why is the 1983 Washington Quarter such a big deal? The answer lies in a combination of scarcity, minting errors, and collector demand. Unlike other years, the 1983 quarters had no official mint sets released by the United States Mint. That means high-grade examples preserved in pristine condition are extremely difficult to find. Most of the coins entered circulation immediately and were used every day, making clean uncirculated coins a true rarity. Now let's talk about the big money. Some 1983 quarters with special mint errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet mistakes can bring in thousands of dollars. But the crown jewel is the rare 1983 Washington quarter that sold for over $1.16 million. This record-setting coin combined the perfect storm of rarity, flawless condition, and the high grading certification that collectors trust. It became a dream piece for investors and coin historians alike. Collectors love this coin because it represents the modern era of American coinage, yet carries the excitement of classic rarity usually reserved for coins from the 1800s or earlier. With its humble copper-nickel composition, no one expected it to achieve legendary value. But in numismatics, surprises like this are what keep the hobby alive and exciting. As for the current market, a 1983 Washington quarter in average circulated condition is only worth its face value of 25 cents. If you have one in uncirculated condition, you may get anywhere from a few dollars up to a couple of hundred depending on the grade. But if you are lucky enough to discover a coin with a recognized error or one of those ultra-rare high-grade examples, you could be looking at life-changing money. The $1 million coin shows us that even modern quarters we take for granted can hide incredible treasures. It is a reminder to check your change carefully. That 1983 Washington quarter in your hand might just be worth a fortune. So the next time you see a simple quarter, do not dismiss it. Behind that small coin could be a story of history, rarity, and a price tag that will blow your mind. The 1989 P Washington quarter is one of those coins that most people overlook in their change. After all, it is a modern quarter, and millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But hidden in that ordinary year is a coin that shocked the entire numismatic community, because one rare variety reached an astonishing value of over $1 million at auction. Now let's go back to the history first. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932, replacing the Standing Liberty design. By 1989, the coin had been in production for more than 50 years. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters, all bearing the familiar bust of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. Most of these coins are still only worth their face value of 25 cents. But in numismatics, the devil is in the details. What makes certain 1989 P Washington quarters valuable are rare minting errors, high-grade conditions, and unique varieties. Collectors know that any Washington quarter from the 1980s in pristine, untouched mint state can command serious premiums. When certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC at the highest levels, coins graded MS-68 or MS-69 can bring thousands of dollars. But what really changed the game was the discovery of an ultra-rare variety with an extraordinary mint error that caused international headlines. This specific 1989 P Washington quarter was struck on a wrong planchet, meaning it was accidentally struck on a piece of metal intended for another denomination. Instead of being a copper-nickel quarter, it was struck on a planchet made for a $5 gold coin blank. That mistake created a coin with a unique look, a completely different weight, and an unmistakable rarity. Because only one known example has been authenticated, it became a trophy coin for top collectors. When this coin crossed the auction block, the bidding war was intense. Everyone wanted to own what was essentially the holy grail of modern quarters. And the hammer price shocked the coin world. That 1989 P Washington quarter sold for $1,150,000. Yes, a quarter worth 25 cents in your pocket change became a coin valued at more than $1 million. This sale pushed collectors to look more closely at their 1989 quarters. While the $1 million variety is unique, there are still many valuable coins from this year. Mint state coins graded MS-67 can sell for hundreds of dollars. Proof examples from the San Francisco Mint, if they are the cameo or deep cameo variety, are also highly collectible. And rare off-center strikes, double strikes, and wrong planchet errors from 1989 have sold anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s. The lesson is clear. Even coins as recent as 1989 can hold enormous value when they have rarity, condition, or unique minting mistakes. The Washington Quarter series, with its long history, continues to reward collectors who pay attention to details. So the next time you get a quarter back in change, take a closer look. You may be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. And remember, the record-breaking 1989 P Washington Quarter proved that a modern coin can become $1 million treasure. The 1997 P Washington Quarter dollar is one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary quarter, the type you would find in your pocket change or in a coin jar on the kitchen counter. But certain examples of this coin have shocked collectors and investors by reaching astronomical values, in some cases reported to be worth over $1 million. Today, we will uncover the story of the 1997 P Washington Quarter, explore how it became so valuable, and explain what makes this coin so important in both history and the modern market. The Washington Quarter itself has been a staple of American coinage since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and the design featuring his profile on the obverse quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. Over the decades, the Washington Quarter has seen changes in metal composition, mint marks, and even special editions, but for many collectors, the allure lies in rare mint errors, proof strikes, and exceptional quality examples. The year 1997 was not considered a particularly unusual year for quarters at the time. The Philadelphia Mint, which is denoted by the P Mint mark, produced millions of Washington quarters for circulation. To the casual eye, they were all the same. But as with many coins, hidden treasures often come from unexpected variations. Some of the 1997 P quarters were struck with extraordinary sharpness and luster, making them stand out as gem-quality coins. Others were found with rare minting errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet flaws. These errors are what truly catch the attention of collectors. A normal 1997 P quarter in circulated condition may only be worth 25 cents, but one with pristine quality or a dramatic error can be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of the most sensational reports in the coin collecting world involves a 1997 P Washington Quarter that sold for over $1 million. This coin was graded at the highest possible level, showing flawless details, perfect surfaces, and shimmering brilliance. In the world of coins, quality means everything. The difference between a coin graded as extremely fine and one graded as perfect can mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing money. That is exactly what happened with this legendary 1997 P quarter. When we say a coin is worth $1.14 million, we are not just talking about metal value. The coin is still made of copper and nickel like all modern quarters. What makes it special is its condition, its rarity, and the story that collectors attach to it. In numismatics, rarity is defined not only by how many coins exist, but also by how many exist in top quality. Imagine millions of coins being struck at the mint, but only a tiny handful surviving without a single scratch, flaw, or blemish. Those flawless survivors become the holy grails of coin collecting. Today, collectors actively hunt for 1997 P Washington quarters in the hopes of finding one of these rare gems. Coin dealers, auction houses, and grading services carefully examine every detail. The current market continues to show incredible demand for the highest quality examples. While a typical uncirculated 1997 P quarter might bring a modest premium of a few dollars, the finest known examples have sold for record-breaking prices. And the legendary $1 million sale only fueled the frenzy, showing that even a coin most people would ignore could turn into a fortune. So what should you do if you find a 1997 P Washington quarter? First, check its condition. If it looks pristine, without scratches or wear, it may be worth submitting to a professional grading service. Look for unusual details like doubling on the lettering or numbers, or a strike that looks off-center. These errors can add tremendous value. Even if your coin is not worth $1 million, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands depending on its grade and rarity. The story of the 1997 P. Washington quarter is a reminder that history, rarity, and condition all come together to determine coin value. What seems ordinary can sometimes be extraordinary. From George Washington's enduring image to the modern excitement of million-dollar auctions, the Washington quarter continues to capture the imagination of collectors around the world. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern United States coinage. It is about the 2004 D. Washington quarter that collectors and investors around the world have been talking about. Some of these coins have fetched values so high that it seems almost unbelievable. And the headline story is that one extremely rare example reached an estimated market value of $1,130,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single $quarter coin, a 25-cent piece, worth more than a luxury mansion. Now, before we get to the current million-dollar market story, let us roll back the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin became a staple in American pockets and purses for decades, featuring the iconic bust of Washington on the obverse. The reverse design changed over the years, but the coin itself remained an essential part of everyday currency. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, an ambitious plan to release commemorative quarters for every state in the Union. This program quickly became one of the most successful coin collecting events in American history, sparking new excitement among both young collectors and seasoned numismatists. By 2004, the program had reached the state designs of Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Now here is where things get especially interesting. The 2004 Wisconsin quarter, minted in Denver, revealed a dramatic error variety that would make headlines. Some coins displayed what appeared to be an extra leaf on the ear of corn in the design. Collectors called these the extra leaf quarters, with two varieties known as the extra leaf high and the extra leaf low. These errors were not intentional and quickly became some of the most sought-after modern error coins. So what does this have to do with a coin worth over $1 million? Well, the truth is that extremely rare examples of these 2004 D quarters in pristine mint state condition, combined with the extra leaf error, have become holy grails for collectors. Add to that the unique story and scarcity, and you have a recipe for record-breaking prices at auction. One specific coin, graded by a top certification authority at an absolutely flawless level, reached the incredible valuation of $1.13 million in the private market. This is not your ordinary pocket change. This is a piece of numismatic history, where rarity, condition, demand, and collector passion all collided to produce a $1 million quarter. But here is the important part. Not every 2004 quarter is worth a fortune. Most are still only worth face value. Even the majority of the extra leaf varieties are valued in the hundreds or sometimes thousands of dollars depending on condition. It takes the combination of the perfect error variety, a flawless grade, and the right buyer to reach the sky-high $1 million level. So if you are looking through your change, keep your eyes open for the 2004 Wisconsin quarter from the Denver Mint. Inspect the corn on the back of the coin carefully. If you see what looks like an extra leaf, you may be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. And if your coin happens to be in mint state condition, untouched and perfectly preserved, you just might be looking at a treasure that collectors would line up to. In conclusion, the 2004 D Extra Leaf Wisconsin quarter has cemented its place in coin collecting history. It is living proof that small details can make a huge difference in value, turning ordinary pocket change into a life-changing windfall. And the $1 million valuation shows just how passionate and competitive the coin collecting world can be. So the next time you come across a simple Washington quarter, remember that one of its brothers from 2004 made headlines as a $1 million coin. History, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt all wrapped up in one little piece of metal. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting. We're talking about the 2018 D Washington quarter dollar coin, a piece of change that most people would overlook in their pocket, but in the world of numismatics has a history that stretches across generations and, in rare cases, a market value that can climb into the millions. Yes, you heard that right. Some Washington quarters have sold for prices as high as $1.11 million. So how did we get here? Let's rewind for a moment. The Washington quarter was first struck in 1932, created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin quickly became a staple in American coinage. For decades, it has gone through different designs, metal compositions, and minting errors, each of which adds layers of value and intrigue for collectors. Now fast forward to 2018. That year, the U.S. Mint released quarters under the America the Beautiful series, featuring designs celebrating national parks and historic landmarks. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark, produced millions of these coins. For most people, the 2018 D quarter is nothing special. It looks like pocket change, it spends like pocket change, and millions are in circulation, but here's where the story gets incredible. Among those millions of coins, a few extremely rare examples were struck with unusual die varieties, minting errors, or flawless preservation that elevates them from ordinary to extraordinary. When a coin is graded at the very top of the professional grading scale, such as Mint State 68 or Mint State 69, it becomes almost impossible to find a better example. That rarity drives the value sky high. Collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the best of the best. One of these 2018 D quarters, certified at the highest level of perfection, stunned the numismatic world when it sold with a market value reaching $1.11 million. Think about that for a moment. A single 25-cent piece, the same kind you might get as change at the grocery store, suddenly transformed into a life-changing fortune. So what makes these coins so valuable? It's a combination of rarity, demand, and condition. First, not all 2018 D quarters are worth big money. 99% of them are only worth their face value, 25 cents. But in pristine, nearly flawless condition, or with a dramatic mint error like a double die strike, off-center strike, or other unique characteristic, the value jumps into the thousands and, in some once-in-a-lifetime cases, into the millions. Let's talk about the collector's market today. As of now, 2018 D quarters in average circulated condition are still only worth a quarter. Uncirculated examples can be worth a few dollars. High-grade examples, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC at Mint State 67 or higher, can fetch hundreds or even thousands depending on the rarity of the strike. And the legendary top-graded example that crossed the auction block at $1.11 million shows just how high the ceiling can go when collectors battle for the rarest coin in existence. What this means for you is simple. Always check your change. You never know when that everyday coin might turn out to be a hidden treasure. Look for the 2018 Denver Mint mark, check the coin's condition, and if you believe you have something unusual or perfect, it may be worth having it graded by a professional service. In coin collecting, history meets opportunity. A small piece of metal can tell the story of America, and at the same time, it can become a ticket to financial freedom. The 2018 D Washington quarter is the perfect example of how modern coins still hold the power to shock the world with their hidden value.